we want to now look at our seasonality. And so what we want to do is we look at, these are the seasonality graphs themselves, and we need to understand them a little bit. So what we've got is if you look in closely here, this will state all the different years over time. So each one of these different coloured lines here is another year's worth of data. So what we've done is we have gone back to the original data set, and we have taken 1 year of data at a time. So from the first data bit, so down, up, down to here. So that is one set of data. Then they've cut that out, they've copied that and pasted that onto a new graph here. Then they've gone back and they've taken the next year's worth of data. So another down and up, so there's another year's worth of pattern. And they've cut that out and copied and pasted it over top and overlain it. So this is a lot of the different years, that same up-down pattern, repeated again and again and again for each year. So that's the original data. Then each of these months, so for example month number 1, it's got some data points there. So I take all of those values and take the average of that, I get this point here. If I take month number 2, take the average of all those values, that gives me month number 2. So each of these, so this graph here is our summary. So this is a summary graph, just taking the average of the individual years. We want to look at this first graph to see, is the pattern consistent? So from 1 year to the next, is that same pattern occurring again and again and again? And we can say, yes, there is a consistent pattern. So because we've got a consistent pattern, that means we've got seasonality. Okay, if there isn't a consistent pattern occurring here, if each year is different, that means we don't have a seasonality pattern. Or if we have just 1 year which is different from everything else, then that might be an outlier, so that gives us something interesting to talk about. So what we want to do now is look at our summary graph. And we want to find out when is it at its highest and when is it at its lowest. Those are the most interesting points to look for. So here's my trend line, the 0 line. Okay, and I want to look for the values above that value. So this point there is my highest, and that occurs in month 3. What's month 3? January, February, March. So that's in March. So that means the sea ice, because this is talking about the area of sea ice area is largest, because it's the highest value, the value above the mean, is largest in March. Okay, and I can see that that varies by around about 3.75, so about 3.75 million square kilometres above the mean. Okay, so every March we're getting values that are above the mean. The sea ice is at its biggest, and in Arctic, remember this is the North Pole, in March, while it's our summer here, it will be their winter. Okay, so winter in the Arctic. Okay, so that's important for us to know. Then we're going to look and see, well, where is it at its lowest? So it's at its lowest here, which is month number 9. So this is in September. Okay, so that is around about 5 below the mean. So that's about 5 million square kilometres smaller than the average overall. So that's our trend line there. And the seasonality tells us each season is above or below that trend line, following that same pattern. And so this is when the sea ice is at its smallest. So we can say the sea ice area is smallest in September, which is summer in the Arctic. And then how much smaller? Well, it's smaller by about 5 million square kilometres below the trend. Okay, and that's what we need to turn. So we've got, this is the information we've got now, and now we need to turn that into a proper sentence explaining what it is that we see. So we need to talk about those those issues, those things that we see. Okay, so we're going to start with the fact that we see a consistent pattern. So I notice a consistent yearly pattern, meaning that seasonality is present in our data. Seasonality is present in our data. And then we need to explain what the pattern we see. Okay, so I notice that in March, the sea ice, the area of sea ice in the Arctic, I'm being specific, I'm stating what the variable is and I'm stating where it is. So the area of sea ice in the Arctic is at its largest because, and this is where I need to justify, the average seasonality for March is 3.75 million square kilometres above the trend. So that's given me the largest one, and I'm going to also do exactly the same with the smallest one. So we know it was the smallest in September, which is summer. Oh, that's what I'm going to do here. I haven't said, as I said, it's the largest in March, and I'm going to say this is probably because it is winter time and temperatures are at their lowest. Okay, so that's going further and explaining and connecting it to an idea of why that pattern is occurring. So we're going to do the same kind of idea for the smallest, and I'll leave you to construct that one.